It's time for the Movin The Chains podcast. Your home for high school football coverage in the Palmetto State. Every team, every game, every week. And now your hosts, Kevin Thomas and John Epps.
Welcome in to Movin The Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps here for our Week 6 preview show. John, last week a lot of craziness happened. We had a bunch of bye weeks and whatnot. This week, for the majority, we've got a lot of region play kicking off, including some games that could be for the region title right out the gates here.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's awesome to, we've been talking about, hey, non-region doesn't really matter. Once you get into region play, that's when you really got to jockey for your region position, getting in the playoffs, getting a good seed in the playoffs. And just like you said, we're going to have some de facto, or at least what we think, de facto region championships right off the bat across the state. Really, really cool stuff. Some games that we didn't think would be really, really big at this point have become paramount. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
No doubt about it. If you guys tune in for the first time, we really appreciate you. Like our page, share it, tell your friends. Love to have your comments on your favorite team throughout the night. We're on all social media at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. Our website, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on Twitter /X. Everything, we are there for you guys. We do a live preview show here on Tuesday nights about 7 o'clock on Facebook and YouTube. Hop in. We talk about the biggest games across the state along with the statewide slate. On Sundays, we do a live, not a live, but a recorded recap show that comes out on our podcast platforms. We do a scoreboard show on Friday nights. On Twitter, it's a lot of fun there to have you guys hop in and join us for that, John. And before we get rolling here, I do want to show something to the masses here. It's kind of a big deal here. People have been begging for some stuff. We got some hats. We got some shirts. What do we got here? Movin The Chains crew has some stuff, fellas. We got some hats for you coming in. We got some different color hats for you coming here. You know what? It's going to be cold here shortly. We got a couple hoodies coming for you guys.
Could have worn that last Friday.
Yeah, get you. Where's there to get you a hoodie from the boys? We got gray, we got white. You want to support the team, man? Check us out. Social media tomorrow. We should have all this stuff posted. If you have questions, email us at mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. It's gonna be cold, John. We got some more. You got some toboggans coming out too for you guys. So definitely
Woolly hat, toboggan.
Check us out, man. Join the MTC crew. Love to have you guys on board. We do have a limited quantity, so get yours before it's gone, man. We'll see what happens there. But let's take a look now, John, at our games of the week brought to you by CONA. Check them out at CONA.care to learn more about their services. We have a lot of big ones this week. Let's start here in the 1A ranks. The Latta Vikings, John, 6-0. When's the last time we could say that? Who knows? But they are traveling to play the Lamar Silver Foxes, who are sitting at 3-3. Last year, Lamar dominated this ballgame 39-8. Latta is coming off a 28-14 win over Sherrall. They were down 14-3 at the half in that ballgame. Lamar coming off an 18-16 win over a 2A Kingstree squad. Does Latta, are they good enough to beat a premier powerhouse like Lamar? Have they played, maybe not the best competition? I don't know what to make of the Vikings, but this is a big-time ball game. What are your thoughts on it?
I tell you, I kind of want to lean, I want to lean Latta in this. You look at what they've done this season. They had a hot start last year, but they played a pretty weak non-region schedule. And then once region play hit, they had a lot of games like that Lamar game last year where they just, it was a little bit of fool's gold, that non-region slate. But this year they've stepped it up a little bit. That Johnsonville win 2 weeks ago, that was a point we looked at that game and go, okay, here comes a 4-0 Latta team. Here's where it's probably going to taper off again. And they blew out the Flashes. Now, Johnsonville's been a little hot and cold this year. That's still a big win to blow them out. And then they had another good test last week on the road to a Sherrall, a Sherrall team that is better, we think, than they were last year. And they come back in comeback fashion. What I like about this Vikings team is last year they had great defense. Right out the gate, they were playing great defense, hardly giving up any points. Now they're winning both ways.
Yeah.
That Johnsonville game, they scored 54 in that ball game. And then last Friday, second half, the defense comes alive and they hold. The offense gets what they need to do to win the ball game. They're doing it everywhere right now. I like Latta in this ball game. It's so hard to go against Lamar.
Yeah.
And especially in Lamar.
Yeah.
But I feel like Latta's done more to this point than the Silver Foxes have, honestly.
Latta led by quarterback LeBron Cobb. He's more of a runner than a passer. Went for 100+ last week. But their star player is Jamarian Jones. 172 TDs last week, averaging 205 a game, John. So it was an off week for him last week with just $170. He didn't really have it going, apparently, I guess. I don't know. But that's a good offense there on the ground, especially. Defensively led by Cartrell, Kent Townsend, Bethea, McKenzie, German, and Griffin. Lamar, a little hard to judge those guys because they play such a tough non-region schedule. They play a bunch of guys that are bigger than them. They play, guys like Dillon, Airport, Andrew Jackson, all bigger schools. Even Kingstree's a bigger school as well. And for them, the key, quarterback Zori Pierce. This is his, I think, third week back now. He was out for a few weeks earlier in the year. He is back, playing some good ball for them. Running back Trevion McPhail and Avion Ward. Wide receivers Tavis Dalford and Zoom Jackson. Defensively led by Cruz, McFadden, and Green. Tavis Dalford is a guy that's an explosive playmaker. I think you got to get him involved somehow, either a quick screen game, maybe in the backfield, whatever it is. But what I like about Lamar is they've got a really good defensive line. And to beat a team like Latta that wants to run it a lot, you got to have some guys up front. I think Lamar does. I think they've got a really good shot to win this ball game, man. But I have been wrong about Latta every time this year, I feel like. So it's hard for me to make a pick. But I'm going to go with Lamar because I like the quarterback being back. The Pierce kid is solid. Coach Burris coaching him up. I think Lamar wins a close one here at home.
And that's going to be a great matchup, that Lamar defensive line and Jones at running back for Latta. He's got 19 touchdowns already rushing on the season for the Vikings. So that's going to be the key matchup. That's probably what's going to decide the game. Who wins that matchup, the Latta running game or that Lamar defensive line?
For sure. Drill, any comments on the Latta-Lamar game before we move on to our next CONA game of the week?
Nothing. Let's keep rolling.
Perfect. Drill, you are cutting in and out a little bit, but let's move on here now to our next one. A big 3A region matchup here, John. The Beaufort Eagles sitting at 4-2, traveling to Philip Simmons. The Iron Horses are undefeated at 6-0. Beaufort 42-36 over Bluffton last week. Quarterback Samari Bonds threw for 100 and ran for 100. Running back Jaden Andrews had a $184 and 5 touchdowns. Wide receivers Daryl DePass and Jameen Odom. Defensively led by Winburn, Cotting, and Simmons. Philip Simmons blew out Bishop England 44-10. Quarterback Tavian Oriana. Running backs, two-headed monster here, John. Sherrod Williams, a 140, 2 touchdowns, and KJ Asbury, 208 and 3 touchdowns. Wide receivers Ellington and Stevenson. Defensively, Bryce Smalls, Josh Gant, and the Georgia Tech commit Troy Stevenson on that side of the ball. Beaufort's a team that started out 0-2, but they lost it to Fort D and to I had it right here and I lost it. Lost to Fort D and Cane Bay, two bigger programs. A team that won the state title last year. We know they're good. Had to replace a lot of pieces. Colton Ferris is gone. Casey Fields is gone. But they're starting to figure out, it feels like, Philip Simmons, a team that has been trending upward the past couple of years. We're a 2A squad for a while. Now they're in 3 under Coach Bendig. I'm high on the Iron Horses, but I really like both these teams a lot.
Yeah, I didn't expect much out of Beaufort this year because of losing what they lost in the backfield. We saw those two running backs, and that was a lethal combination, having those two guys run the football. But gosh, they haven't lost much of a step. Losing to Fort, they were very competitive with Fort Dorchester. We weren't sure how good Fort D would be this year, losing to Osborne. They've come out and they're a pretty good football team.
They are.
Lost a thriller against Gaffney last week. Beaufort is good. Philip Simmons, this is a great game to see Philip Simmons play because, again, just like you said, right, they're trending. They're trending up. They're undefeated right now, and they really haven't. You look through their schedule, they really haven't been tested. Their closest game was an 11-point win over St. James earlier in the year. This is going to be a big test for them, Philip Simmons rather. They get this game at home against Beaufort. I just think Beaufort's better. I think Beaufort's more tested. I think they're the better team. They got that winning attitude.
Yeah.
You guys, we've talked to Coach, Coach Beaufort Eagles. They didn't throw the ball in the state championship.
Yeah.
Because they knew we don't have to.
Yeah.
Let's do what we're good at. Let's do what's going to win this game. I have belief in that Beaufort program. Can't say that I won't have it for Philip Simmons, but I need to see them win a game like this before I really believe.
Last year, the Eagles won this ball game 34-14. I do worry a little bit, John. Last week Beaufort had, I think it was a 42-16 or 42-12 lead, whatever it was, against Bluffton, and let it get really tight there at the end. 42-36 was the final on that one, I believe it was. That worries me a little bit. We know that Philip Simmons can put up points in bunches with that running back crew they've got there, but we know Beaufort usually big, strong, physical. I'm going to take the Eagles here in a close one. Like I said, a little more tested, I think, than the Iron Horses right now. So let's go Beaufort here in a tight one, but I'm really excited to see how that ball game goes. I think Jarrell actually may be down there for that one, but that'll be a fun one between the Eagles and the Iron Horses in region play. Jarrell, any comments on that matchup before we look at our next CONA game of the week?
No, nothing on that one specifically.
Where are you leaning, Jarrell?
Oh, that game right there, man. I'm going Beaufort there, man. I think the Eagles are tough, and it's kind of like you were saying. It's a situation where, that's the proven program. I love what Coach Bendig's doing with Philip Simmons, but I got to lean with the Eagles until they prove me otherwise.
I tell you what, it's funny as I'm looking at some of the numbers here, and you're talking about how good that Beaufort team was last year with those two guys in the backfield. And then you look at Asbury and
Williams.
Yeah, Williams, and you go, holy cow, they've combined for 29 rushing touchdowns.
Seems kind of familiar, doesn't it, John? Yeah.
That's going to be a great ball game.
I'm super excited for that one there. Beaufort at Philip Simmons could be the region title right there here in week 6. Drill, our next CONA game of the week, a 4A matchup that John and I actually saw in person last year on a Monday night due to, I think, some weather issues. That's Westside at 4-1, traveling to Greenville Serene Stadium. The Red Raiders at 3-2. Last year, Greenville had a one-score lead at the half. I think it was like 33-27, something like that. Final score, 66-33 Greenville. They pulled away big time in the second half, scored all over the Rams there. Westside last week won a closer than expected ball game, 56-42 over Greer. I didn't think it'd be quite that tight there, honestly. Yeah. And then Greenville had a bye. Westside, we know about Cutter Woods, Josh Williams, a new guy on the scene. On the scene for him has been Sherrody Richardson, the running back. He's been really explosive. Wide receiver Jamar Boston, I think, is still just playing defense due to some injuries he's got there. I think he had a cast on his hand. I'm not sure when he is back, but if he is back, that would be huge. But have not heard one way or the other on that. The defense has been led by Zeke Marshall. He's kind of a playmaker there, but they haven't got a lot going on that side of the ball right now, it feels like.
Yeah, and this is I don't know that it feels like we're going to have the same type of game we saw last year. When I say same type of game, high scoring, not Greenville's going to blow Westside out. But I think this is another really fun ball game. You got a really good offense in Greenville. You got playmakers all over the place. You got a great offensive line.
Yep.
You got Cutter at quarterback for Westside, some good wide receivers. But you talk about the defense over at Westside. You got Marshall. The guy's a ball hawk back there.
Yeah.
Well, at Greenville, they got a young man, Romani Bruton. He got 5 interceptions.
I think he had 3 in a game a couple weeks ago.
So you expect maybe the ball to be in the air a good bit.
Yeah.
But that ball could be changing hands with those two guys running around. I think it's going to be a really fun ball game. What has me conflicted here is, and I get in the same situation with the Red Raiders. I don't know that they're going to play a team, except for maybe Byrnes a couple weeks ago, that's going to have more talent than they do, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And that's the same case here. I think they probably have a little more talent than Westside. I think Westside's the better team. I know this game is at Serene, but I like the way you take away week 0 from Westside, losing against BHP. And you look at that resume and you go, huh, who's going to beat these guys regardless of classification? You know, they beat TL Hanna. I think Westside's a better team this one. I think Westside's got it. But hey, they gotta play the defense.
You gotta play defense.
You gotta play defense, especially against these guys, because if you don't, and Greenville proved it last year, they'll light up that scoreboard very, very easily.
The Greenville offense led by quarterback Bryson Drummond, running backs Jay Sherman and Kyler Drummond. Wide receiver Mazio Bennett should be healthy. I think he's back. I know he came in and played some in that last ball game for the bye, so I think he's good to go this week. Also, Renfro and Mosley out wide for them. Defensively led by Jaden Wilson-Abrams up front. You mentioned Romani Bruton there on the back end, along with Christian Henderson. That's going to be a really fun matchup, the Westside receivers against the Greenville DBs. I mean, athletes galore out there. It's tough to get out of my head what I saw last year in Westside between these two matchups here, between these two teams. But I think Westside is kind of the same team. And in Greenville, I don't know a lot about right now, I feel like, John. You know, they've been kind of surprising with their wins and losses, that they're kind of up and down. I'm going to go Greenville in a close one at home here at Serene. But that should be a really fun ball game. Could have a lot of fireworks on Friday night. Yeah,
these are two really good teams. You know, this is an awesome region game here too, because again, this is probably for the region championship.
Yeah.
Again, and this region, I love this region because it has last few years, it's had its way of having some weird things going on.
Yeah.
Once we get to the final week or two of the season, but it's gonna be a great game to start off region play for it.
For sure, Drill. Any comments on Westside and Greenville?
Nothing Westside Greenville. Let's keep rolling, guys.
Perfect. Okay, looking at our next CONA game of the week, a big 5A region matchup here, Region 2 5A, that is. The Spartanburg Vikings at 4-2, traveling to Nixon Field, taking on the 5-1 Byrnes Rebels. Spartanburg last week, 57-0 over Malden. Quarterback TJ Johnson, perfect on the night, John and Drill. 14 for 14, 243, 2 touchdowns, and had 45 rushing yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Justin Rice is a playmaker for them. Defensively, they've been good all year long, led by Cam Rich Smith. Has got 58 tackles, 7 TFLs, and 6.5 sacks so far. Byrnes blew out West Florence 49-0 last week. Quarterback Andrew Stevens getting more and more comfortable at the pocket back there for those guys. The freshman running back Trey Segura has been a stud all season long. We know the playmakers with Bomar and Weaver and Landrum and Evans and those guys out wide for them. But defensively, they've been really good. James Oates and Chris Foster and RJ Livingston at linebacker have been super good, along with Bomar and Weaver on the back end. I've been super impressed with Byrnes lately with how consistent they've been. You know, they had the tough loss to Chapman early, where it just didn't make sense to me, really. They played good football since then, taking care of business. This is a big time matchup.
Yeah, and this is an awesome game. You've got, Byrnes team outside of that Chapman game. Boy, they have been very, very sharp, very, very good. And you look at Spartanburg, and, I know some people in this group talk trash about their offense from time to time. This is a team that they lost by 2 to South Point to start the year off, and then they lost by 2 to Grayson. They're 4 points away from being undefeated against probably the toughest schedule in the state.
It's one of.
It is. They're a good football team. Hey, love to see them score a little bit more, but boy, they are in every game and they've won. They've won most. I like. I don't know who I like because Byrnes is so good. And what is surprising about Byrnes is, one, their defense, and then 2, how well Stevens has stepped in.
Yeah.
At quarterback, he's averaging over 200 yards a game passing so far this year. This Byrnes team is well-rounded. I don't know if there's a team, I was going to say in 5A, but maybe in this region that is well-rounded. But then as I say that, I go, well, Gaffney's pretty doggone good. Spartanburg's pretty good.
Yeah.
But, this is a really, really good game here. You like to lean toward the home team in this game, but I just don't know. I think it's going to come down to, and I know this is kind of a weasel way to talk about it, whoever plays better. Because they're so even.
Guys, breaking news. Whoever plays better wins the football game.
Well,
expert analysis from John Epps here.
The game that we saw Friday, I think the losing team I played a little bit better. But
oh, man. Last year, the Vikings won this one 36-23. You're right. I was just disappointed in the Spartanburg offense early in the year. Didn't really get it going. The defense was playing great, special teams playing great. But I look at it this way. I just think Byrnes at home playing a little better right now. I think both quarterbacks are kind of in their first really big atmosphere. I know you can play. I know you say you played Grayson for Spartanburg. If you're Byrnes, you played some other big schools, Huff and whatnot. But this is your first region game. This is a different animal than some of those non-region games here. I like Byrnes at home. I think the Rebels win this one. But as always, that region is going to be a lot of fun.
I think so too. And if I had to pick a team, I'm going to pick Spartanburg. I think Spartanburg is a little bit better. You look at the personnel on both sides. You go, oh, Byrnes looks like they got more talent. They do. I think Spartanburg's better though. As a team, I think they're better.
Jarrell, any comments on this big 5A matchup here?
Got some traction here, boys.
Byrnes taking another this week. Yeah, I like the Rebels. John likes the Vikings, man. It should be a really fun ball game, ETP. Patrick says, got to go Byrnes. Yeah, I wonder if we might see some Gaffney fans down there at that ball game. I think the Indians on a bye this week, so they may head over there. James says Byrnes as well. Justin says Byrnes looked at the scoreboard last week. They certainly did. Byrnes 36-22. I could see it.
Well, that's a lot of points.
Patrick says, hold on, John, on the toughest schedule. Yeah, there's a lot of, South Point plays a tough one. Gaffney obviously does. A lot of teams with tough schedules, man. But Spartanburg is up there for sure.
Spartanburg played South Point too, and they played Dutch Fork. We can talk about how good we think Dutch Fork is or isn't.
Yeah, James. I think Spartanburg's pretty good, man. I think so. We'll find out a lot more this week. Like I said, I think it may come down to which quarterback can hang in there a little tougher than the other one. So we shall see. Anything else, Terrell, on that ball game?
No, that's it for that one.
Okay, our fifth CONA game of the week. Going to extra one this week, guys. We just got to. This game I am super excited for. I think John's going to be there. And that's Hartsville at 4-1, traveling to Florence to take on the South Florence Bruins, who are sitting at 5-0. This game is also 7:05 on Friday. It's a TV ball game down there in the PD Horry County area. If you're there, you can check that one out. Both teams coming off a bye, so no edge there really. Hartsville running backs Carmelo McDaniel and Hakeem Waters averaging over 100-plus per game. Wide receiver Keon Hickson is a stud outside. He's got some juice. Safety Demarion Coe's solid in the return game and a great tackler for them. South Florence, they're led on offense by Jaden Sellers, Norris's little brother, doing a lot of things in the passing game, catching the ball as well as running out of the backfield as well for them. Couple good running backs. Zion Gilbert, 100-plus a game. Riley Jett getting it done as well. Tight end Rodney Lazane's a good player. The quarterback Brian McCart, obviously huge shoes to fill. Haven't asked him to do a ton so far, so he hasn't had a breakout game, I would say. This may be the time for them. We'll see. But the story for South Florence, their defense, John. I mean, led by guys like Quincy Rhodes, Shantuan Harkless, Derek Goodman, Amari Adams, Camonte Rose, Terry Gordon, Mekhi Matthews. I feel like I just named the whole starting 11. I mean, they got that many good players there. But this is a whale of ball game. I'm super excited for this one on Friday night.
Yeah, this game's going to be down in the PD over there in Florence. These two teams, I wish Hartsville was 100% healthy, because I think these are the two best teams in the lower state in 4A. I think, Hartsville, even not 100%, they're really, really good.
Yeah.
I know they lost that game to Irmo, but I think Irmo is really, really good as well. This can be a great ball game. And I think South Florence certainly not quite the team they were last year. You can't be after, having to replace Lenoris at quarterback, how great he is. But boy, they're not as far off as I thought they would be this year. They are very, very good. And they've shown that they can play when tested. They had a tough game against South Point, where it would come out on top there. Had a one-score game against Carolina Forest.
Yep.
Had a really good matchup early in the season against Oceanside. They came out on top in that game too. I think with them being more healthy and at home, I like South Florence in this game. If they meet in the playoffs and they're 100% versus 100%, it could be different. It could be different. But I think Friday night, South Florence has a little bit of the edge here. I expect them to win this game, but it should be a heck of a ball game.
Last year, the Bruins won 33-28. They were actually up, I believe it was 25 or 24 or 25, 26 to nothing. Hartsville scored 28 in the fourth to make it a ball game there. Couldn't quite make the comeback, but good ball game there. You're right, John. The key for me is the health of Hartsville, specifically quarterback McKendry Douglas. If he is back, they've got a real chance to win this game. If he's not back, it's going to be a very uphill battle there. Also, linebacker Webb Barnes was out 2 weeks ago. I think he's back. And from what I've heard, I think Douglas is playing this week. How healthy he is, I don't know, but I believe he should be back under center, I guess, or in the pistol, whatever you're going to call it there for Hartsville. And that's an offense where it's so important to have a guy who's got some experience. And he's been a quarterback for several years for them there. He knows the reads, knows, what to expect when they, run this kind of trap or draw or whatever. He gets it. It's a tough offense there, so it'd be great to have him back. But I don't know for sure if he will, but I think he would back 100%. I don't know, but fun stat here on South Florence. 5 straight games with a defensive touchdown. 6
That's
total
awesome.
on the year. I mean, they are getting it done. I think Camonte Rose had a big pick 6 against South Point a couple weeks back. They are scoring however they can. They've got a special team touchdown as well. I'm with you, John. I think the health, with it being a little bit of an issue, I'm going to go South Florence at home in a close one. But this is a really fun, I think, Region 6 for a matchup. I mean, that region is a lot of fun in general. Could be region championship here. I know Myrtle Beach has something to say about that, they think, as well. But this is one of the premier matchups in that region.
Yeah, it's certainly one you look forward to. And really, I think you can talk about the region, but also just lower state 4A. This is arguably the biggest game of the year, too. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, 2 great coaches, Jeff Calabrese at Hartsville, Drew Marlowe at South Florence, can get it done, man. Their programs respond to them. They've done a great job there at the helm for those guys. But, Drew, any comments on this 4A matchup here?
Yeah, man, we got a lot of people picking South Florence in this one for sure.
Yeah, and I think, I will tell you, if we're looking back a couple weeks ago before that Irmo game and you're telling me that McKendree Douglas is healthy and all this stuff, I would have probably picked Hartsville at that point just because, South Florence, I still worry about their offense a little bit. They're having to do some weird things. Jaden Sellers, by trade's a receiver. He's having to do some stuff out of the backfield. Yeah, Justin, they do have Jaden Sellers playing for them on the offensive side, but the quarterback worries me a little bit. Hadn't, performed his best yet, I feel like. They've got tons of athletes around him, and I like the Gilbert guy running back a lot as well. But with the question about Douglas's health for Hartsville, I lean South Florence here in a tight one.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And hey, Jershad, you're right.
50-50. Honestly, man, yeah, it could be a coin flip on Friday night in this one.
Yeah, and what makes me I was really high on South Florence maybe 2 weeks ago, but that Spartanburg Byrnes game is gonna be fun.
Yep.
Yeah, get there early because that place will fill up. But I honestly thought South Florence was gonna beat South Point a little bit worse than they did. That was a really close competitive ball game. I think a 3-point game. I was expecting for South Florence to win that one by 7-10.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and not that like, oh boy, you barely beat South Point. What's wrong? No, but that makes me, hey, maybe the gap, if there is a gap, there might not be a gap at all. Hartsville and South Florence, but gosh, you're right. I hope Hartsville is 100% healthy. Yeah, obviously as healthy as they can be, because you want to see both of these teams at full strength going up against one another.
Our SCISA game of the week brought to you by CONA is Hammond at 4-2, traveling to Augusta Christian at 3-3. Hammond beat a Good Wilson Hall team 25-7 last week, led by running back Manny Johnson, quarterback Andrew Turner, tight end Mike Tyler, defensive back Zay Mathis, replacing a lot from last year off that Skyhawks team, John. Augusta Christian 38-7 over Heathwood Hall, quarterback Wilson Donnelly, Tristan Jones and Troy Booker running the ball, Dallas Carter at wide receiver and on defense there, and then Smith, Altman Miller, and Anderson on defense. The Hammond Skyhawks, man, I mean, they are a SCISA football, it feels like. 6 straight state titles. They are down a little bit this year, I feel like, off of last year's squad. The Lions of Augusta Christian, though, have some good athletes there. On the road, I still like Hammond in this one. They beat these guys 56-13 and then 49-7 in the playoffs last year. I think Hammond rolls again in this 4A matchup.
Yeah, Hammond's the king right now. You got to go with the Skyhawks. You got to go, even if they are down a little bit, they're still really, really good.
Yeah, Coach John Wheeler does a great job there, and obviously, a fan favorite here in the state. You got G.A. Mangus now as the OC there for the Skyhawks. All you Carolina fans remember him, I'm sure, but that'll be a fun matchup in 4A. It could be one worry, a look-ahead spot for Hammond next week. Cardinal Newman on the horizon. You maybe a look-ahead spot there, but I still like the Skyhawks in that one. That's our sixth, I guess, CONA game. We got Latta at Lamar, Beaufort at Philip Simmons, Westside at Greenville, Spartanburg at Byrnes, Hartsville at South Florence, and then Hammond at Augusta Christian. If you guys tuned in late and missed one of those, you can check it out when the show's over. We're back at the beginning of the show, put in the time stats, go check that out. But, Drill, Any comments on everything else going on before we move into our friends of the program shout out and then some of the statewide scores?
Yeah, let's go ahead and pull up some comments that we've been getting throughout the show. If my computer will load them, here we go.
Robert, good day, man.
Up,
Big
Rob?
win for Dylan last week. Hey, if you guys tuning in, you missed out. We got some merch coming out. Check out social media tomorrow. Want to see it? Lakeview Green City, decent game. Yeah, the Wild Gators are playing great right now, man. Patrick, good to have you, buddy. Appreciate you as always being in here.
And we got Derek and Justin. They're fired up in the chat about Lakeview and Latta. This is a lot of fun.
Love it, love it. Yeah, Latta's playing great right now, man. I'll check and see. Last time they were 6-0. I don't know, Justin. It's been quite a while,
So
I would think there.
I think they started 4-0, 5-0 last year.
Yeah, Derek, I show off the merch, man. Trying to, make sure we promote it right. You know how it goes. Robert, good to see you, buddy. Lamar's neck. Oh, Justin calling out Lamar. That might be a bad idea, Justin. I don't know if you want to do that or not, man. We shall see. Yeah, Derek, Lakeview's always ready for Latta. That's kind of a big brother, little brother there, I think, in the PD area, right?
Yeah,
Derek?
yeah, it typically is.
Yeah, Amarni says, go Clover. Hey, the Blue Eagles are playing some good ball. Dadrian, Louisville, man, they are firing on all cylinders. They keep doing it, it feels like every week.
I kind of feel bad for who plays Louisville every week now.
Jay Scott says, Drell, go pick us like Patrick Henry. Hey, Drell and I nailed that. Remember, I changed my pick back to Patrick Henry, so I'm glad I did that. Oh, man.
I respect that, Derek.
Chris, good to have you been here, man. Appreciate you. ETP says Byrnes best defense in the state. Hey, they are very good. They are playing solid ball right now for sure. Julie says Louisville Lions balling. They are. Was it 284-0 the last 5 weeks? Something like that. I think it was. Unreal. Jershai. No, we're not done 3A. We're about to go through 5A here. We'll get down to 3A here shortly.
Yep, that's all the comments. Let's take a little break.
Perfect. Shout out to the friends of the program. Let's do it.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. All right, John, let's take a look starting at the 5A slate. We'll go from 5A down to 1A. Let's start here with the big boys and talk through some of these ball games.
Yeah, we got a lot of buys this week, so a smaller schedule of games to start with. One of our games of the week, we've got leading off over at Nixon Field, Spartanburg at Byrnes, huge region matchup there. Wando will be at Cane Bay, Boiling Springs at Dorman.
This is a game that could decide who goes to the playoffs out of that region. You think these are probably the bottom two teams in that region 2-5A, because you think that Gaffney, Byrnes, Spartanburg seem to be a cut above so far this year. Obviously, you get 4 guys in the playoffs, one's at home. Could be the loser of this game that's missing the playoffs. So big one there over at Dorman University.
That is that's scary for the Cavaliers because I think Boiling Springs is the better team in this ball game. I like the Bulldogs in that one. We'll have Ashley Ridge at Fort Dorchester.
That's a game. I think it's in our pick'em. That could have been a game of the week. Ashley Ridge playing really good. Derek Sally Jr. out wide. Coach Jeff Tate going down from Wren down there has got them rolling the right direction. Obviously, Fort D, tough loss last week, but the offense is playing good. Defense needs to come along a little bit. I'm going to go Fort D at home, but I think a big game from Derek Sally Jr. for Ashley Ridge, though.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how Fort D responds. I think they're the better team here. They should win, but of course, big-time emotional game against Gaffney last Friday. Mm-hmm. How do you respond? How do you recover from that? Can you compartmentalize, put that game away, and focus on Ashley Ridge? We'll see what they do. But I'm with you. I like Fort Dorchester in that game as well. We'll have Blythewood going to Fort Mill. Berkeley will be at Goose Creek.
That's a fun game, too. I like what Berkeley's building. Obviously, when they played the two big boys, Somerville and Fort D, they hadn't played their best. But they've got some nice ones outside of that. Goose Creek has not necessarily been impressive yet this year to me, John. No. I think they've got one win on the season. They're 1-4. I like Berkeley and Coach Lodge to win this ball game.
I do, too. Berkeley, they started off pretty hot. When I say pretty hot, because it was like, they had not been good last few years. They have certainly improved already to this point this year. I think they've got a great chance to win this ball game Friday too.
You guys got to remember what Goose Creek did in region last year, though.
I remember. I think they lost all their non-region games, won all their region games to get that one seed. But I don't know. I think that region is a little bit improved this year, Darrell.
Yeah, they've gotten beat bad a couple times too this year.
I agree. Give me the Stags.
We'll have Chapin goes to Lexington.
Chapin's a team we got to talk more about. The Blue Eagles, I believe, are 5-1 now. I think they lost their first game of the season or their second one. So they've reeled off 4 wins at least in a row. They're playing good football. Lexington, the tough loss a couple weeks ago to Gilbert, that was a surprise. I think people may have overhyped Lexington a little bit early in the year. I think I did too. I like, I don't know a lot about Chapin. I like their offense a lot. Kind of contrasts. I think Lexington's going to try to kind of pound you a little bit and slow down the game. Chapin's going to try to air it out a little bit more. I think the Wildcats at home in a close one here.
Yeah, I still like Lexington at home. Even though Lexington maybe not as good as we thought they would be this year, they're still a pretty good team. I was impressed with Chapin, though. I thought that AC Florida game was going to be a game that AC Florida would win or be really, really close. And Chapin, seemingly had control of that game the majority of the night, if not the whole night. I know they won, I think 22-6, won by 2 scores. So Chapin, they could be better than I thought too. But I like Lexington with that game at home, but that could be another game where we, come Friday at 11 o'clock, we go up.
Yep.
Hey, let's talk about Chapin a little bit more. We'll have Clover going to Nation Ford. White Knoll will be at River Bluff.
Big region matchup here. I'm really high on White Knoll. They're playing good football. The offense looks good. 5-0 2 years in a row under Coach Nick Pelham there. River Bluff, big comeback win last week over Dorman, but they got the doors blown off by Irma just a few weeks back. I think White Knoll is much better. I think they win this game by multiple scores.
I think it's going to be close, but I do think White Knoll is going to win this ball game. I think they're a little bit better team. I'm just waiting for River Bluff to kind of make that impact. And they kind of did in the second half last Friday. But I think you're right. I think White Knoll's ahead of them right now. That could be a more interesting region. That's that Dutch Fork region, Lexington region, that a little bit closer and a little bit tighter than it's been in years past. We'll have Spring Valley going to Rock Hill. Conway will be at St. James. West Ashley going to RB Stall. Somerville at Stratford. Socastee goes to Sumter. Malden at TL Hanna. And JL Mann goes to Woodmont.
Could see some points in that last one there, John. The Patriots offense has been really good with Ethan Anderson and Obadiah Jones and Mikael McClellan and those guys. And Woodmont, Jordan Sink, Drake Stewart, Wilson running the ball there. Williams. Williams running the ball there. He's been a good player. We got 2 running backs. Actually, they're pretty solid for them. Tough loss last week to Seneca, but I think JL Mann wins this, but could see some scoring here. Drew, any comments on the 5A slate?
Nothing on 5A, but I'm going to throw these out there just so they don't get lost in the shuffle. My man Dion's already looking at week 7.
Salute to Epic next week. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, Westside defense exposed. The Westside defense has been trash all year. Hopefully they can pick it up. Just about the Latta quarterback, big game last week. Corey, let's go Swamp Foxes. Yeah, tough loss last week for Marion, but they will bounce back, I'm sure.
Yeah, they'll be back.
One more shout out. Our new merch drop coming tomorrow. Get you a hoodie, get you a hat. Check us out. Social media is posted there along with mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. Email us all your questions. Get you a hat, get you a toe bag, get you a hoodie. Support the boys, man. Let's take a look now, John, at the 4A slate.
We'll have AC Florida hosting Westwood. Aiken goes to Airport. Berea hosting Greenwood. Hilton Head will be at Bluffton. Catawba Ridge hosting South Point. Pickens goes to Easley. Eastside will be at Emerald. As we talk about one of our games of the week, Greenville hosting Westside.
You guys missed that one. It's at the beginning of the show. When we get done, you can go back and check it out at the front of the show there.
York goes to Indian Land. Irmo hosting Richland Northeast. James Island hosting Colleton County. Northwestern goes to Lancaster. Lawrence will host Greer. May River at Lucy Beckham.
Fun physical ball game there. May River lost a 7-0 game last week. Yeah. We know Lucy Beckham is physical and tough up front. I think the Bengals are a little bit better there, but that could be an exciting, hard-hitting ball game there.
That'd be a fun one to go to there. Ridgeview will be at Lugoff Elgin. That probably will not be a fun game to go to, especially if you're a Demon. South Aiken will go to North Augusta.
That is a interesting matchup now after last week. South Aiken kind of dead in the water a couple weeks ago. Come back, have a pretty convincing win over Clinton in the ballgame last week. North Augusta playing good football. They beat a good Strom team last week. They beat Greenwood a couple weeks back. I think they're playing pretty good as well. Both offenses, I think, are really doing a good job. Depends on who can make the more stops in that one. With the athlete like Terrence Smith and Javon Edwards there at South Aiken, can you stop them at all? Who knows? I trust the North Augusta defense a little bit more. So I'm going to lean the Yellow Jackets, but that should be a tight ball game coming down to the end, just like last year, I think.
Yeah, so Dion, if South Aiken plays like they did against Clinton, they probably will win this game. But I'm with you, Kev. I think North Augusta and being at home too, I like them a little bit more in
Go
this
down
one.
the Jackets nest.
We'll have this will be an interesting game here. Wilson goes to North Myrtle Beach, kicking off that region that is also fun. Hartsville at South Florence, of course, one of our games of the week.
Yep.
That was the last game that we talked about at the front of the show. We'll have Riverside going to Wade Hampton, and Myrtle Beach will go to West Florence. That's a pretty intriguing game too.
Yes.
We think Myrtle Beach is improving. West Florence, I thought West Florence was really good. I thought they were going to show a little bit more against Byrnes last Friday than they did. They just got spanked in that ball game. This is an interesting ball game. I think West Florence wins this game, but I'm not really too sure what to make of it.
I think the Knights are down some from last year. I mean, you lose your quarterback and your running back. That's tough to replace. You got guys like Franklin Emerson here still. He's a stud. And then Kelvin Hunter, of course, on defense, playing some running back as well. And, Trey Leonard there coming over from Trinity. I'm really high on Myrtle Beach now. They had the tough loss week 0 to Cannon, but have really kind of steamrolled everyone since that point. Malachi Washington, one of our players of the week, 230 plus us last week against a good Marion team. He's playing great football. Quarterback Gibson Goodrow getting more and more comfortable there. The defense is playing great. Special teams playing great, really, too, for those guys. I think Myrtle Beach wins this game on the road this Friday night.
That'd be a great start for the Seahawks. I tell you what, and we talk about a ton of teams. We talk about Byrnes losing that game to Chapman. Talk about Myrtle Beach losing to Camden. Sumter losing to Crest. We talk about all these really good teams, and they had that one game where they just didn't quite have it. And as the season goes, it becomes to diminish that loss more and more and more. And it could be Myrtle Beach is more so the team like they were last week that beat Marion than they are that team that got spanked by Camden at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Drew, any comments on the 4A slate?
Nothing 4A. And I'm kind of mystified like you guys with West Florence. I still can't get over them having a running clock last week. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's take a look down at 3A now, John. Everybody's favorite, it feels like. Let's look at the 3A class. We'll
start with Manning at Aner. Here is a potential de facto region championship. Powdersville goes the Belton-Hunya path.
Yeah.
We talk about how good the Bears are with their running game. This is a really, really big-time game. Powdersville has been the cream of the crop in this region the last couple years, but this could be the game where BHP changes that tune back their way.
Powdersville has not really played great football so far this year.
Not consistently.
Yeah, they've given up some big leads. They lost a couple games by a point. The quarterback Eli Hudgens is still a really good player for them, but losing Thomas Williams is a big loss along with Drake Sloan. But they got a lot of playmakers. Just can they hold on to the football? I feel like turnovers has been kind of a big bugaboo for them so far this year as well. BHP playing really good, running the ball, getting everybody's throats. They kind of got a three-headed monster. But, of course, Marquise Henderson is the guy that's the stud. He's a Power 5 running back, getting a lot of offers. He's a monster back there in the backfield. The quarterback play had worried me, but they played better last week. They actually had to throw the ball a little bit. That looked good. But I will say the BHP defense, 35 to Walhalla last week. That was kind of surprising to me. And I tell you what I think goes in Powdersville's favor. They had a bye week last week, John. Extra week to prepare there. Coach Mustard does a great job. Obviously, Coach Nimmer on defense. They'll have some kind of plan for Marquise Henderson, I'm sure. I mean, I think if you're Powdersville, you play 8-9 guys in the box and you make BHP throw the football. I mean, you can't sit back there and let them just run it down your throat. I think that's the strategy. I had a guy call me or text me this week, not going to out him. He said, Powdersville will upset BHP this week. I'm not telling you who said it, but just put it on the record. One of the MTC sources said that. I'm going to lean BHP at home. I think Marcus Henderson's too much, but that is a very, very fun ball game. I would like to be in attendance for that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a great game. If I was staying up here in the upstate, I'd go to that game as well. But I think I think Henderson's going to be a little bit too much Friday night for this one.
Yeah.
But I do expect a good game. I think this will be a close ball game.
Yeah, Drew, I do want to get your thoughts on that one. I know you're a big Marquise Henderson fan. I know you've got a good feel for like that program. How do you think about that ball game's going to go?
Yeah, I think you're spot on as far as like defensively. I think that Powdersville is going to have to just stack the box because it's not just Marquise. I mean, it's a three-headed monster in that backfield. I mean, we saw it last week. We talked to Kane, who does the stats for them. He only touched the ball 7 times last week. In the last few weeks, he has not carried it more than like 10 or 15 times. I think BHP is just too much for Powdersville. They've taken a step back. Even if they get in a shootout, because I don't think BHP has the best defense right now. They're still working on that. I just don't think they're going to be able to score with these guys. I think that backfield is just too much. And the Bears, man, they're really rolling right now. I'm like with Dion here. I'll throw his comment up. I think it's going to be like a 2-score, 14-point game there, something like that.
See that? I like that a lot.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, let's look back at the 3A slate here, John.
All right, jumping back into it. We'll have Orangeburg Wilkinson going to Brooklyn Casey. Travelers Rust will be at Broome.
Devil Dogs coming off a big win here. Can they shock the world, beat Broome? I don't know. Jalen McGill, Kamaje Brackett, Broome. Kamaje Brackett getting it going there for the Centurions. I think Broome wins this one at home.
Yeah, it's a lot different
by a lot.
We'll have Chapman going to Carolina. Union will be at Clinton. Expect the Red Devils to bounce back.
They need a bounce back win. And they should get it this week.
Seneca at Crescent. Walhalla goes to Daniel. Dillon hosts Loris. Eastside at Emerald. Gilbert hosting Lower Richland.
Gilbert, a team that we saw last week. They're a good football team, well coached. Got some big boys. I love the quarterback, Drake Braddock. He looked really good. Put some good balls out there. Lower Richland, they played a tough non-region schedule. Don't have the best record right now, but Lamarian Pearson's a good running back, and we got some good players there for Coach Taylor's squad. I think they're sitting at 1-4, but they've got a chance in this one. But I do like Gilbert, especially at home. Man, it's a tough place to play there at Gilbert America.
Yeah, that was a great environment we were in last Friday. I mean, that place was, and hats off to the Saluda fans. The away side was packed too. A lot of purple over there, but that home side, I mean, I rolled in 30, 40, I think it was 42 minutes on the clock before kickoff when I got into the gates. And boy, I got me a Sheely's barbecue sandwich and a corn dog. And then my buddy met me down there. You go, we got to go sit down because it is filling up fast.
Great crowd there.
Impressive there. But on the football side, Gilbert they're going to be a very, very, and have been just tough offense to match up for. You talk about Craddock at quarterback. Those are good balls. He's a very good player. Jay at running back, he's a very shifty guy. I mean, I felt like on half his carries last Friday, for Saluda, everybody was in on the play at some point in time because Jay was over here, then he's in the middle, then he bounces it back out. He's a very shifty guy. But their tight ends present a huge matchup issue.
Yeah.
Gooding and I think House is the other tight end. They play as wide receivers basically, and they are big, thick guys. It's a tough offense to cover. I mean, they're very, very well rounded. I like Gilbert in this ball game too. They're a good team. It's gonna be fun to watch them progress here down the region stretch and into the playoffs. We'll have Woodland going to Hanahan.
Woodland's a team that I feel like was really high on everybody's radar last year. So Darian Harrison there had a great run. Cam Pringle's still there, the SC commit on the offensive line, but been kind of flying under the radar this year. I think they're still undefeated. Haven't played the toughest schedule yet, I would certainly say. This is still a non-region game, I believe, for those guys because this is, I guess, their bye weeks lined up weird there. But Hanahan, nice bounce back win last week, but that's an interesting ball game for me there.
Yeah, I think Woodland, I think they're going to it's partly their schedule. Nothing against those kids. As the season goes, as we get through region play, I think the respect for Woodland will come back up and we'll, they'll get more respect and more hype as the season goes. I think they just need more wins under their belt against quality opponents. But Hanahan, not a bad team. They could certainly make a couple steps up in that regard this Friday. We'll have Crestwood going to Lake City, a Lake City team that I feel like has been playing a little bit better lately, but Crestwood is awfully good.
Really good, really good. Javion Martin, one of the best players in the state, a Shrine Bowler at quarterback, Super 75 guy. I think Crestwood rolls.
We'll have Camden going to Lakewood. Marlboro County will host Darlington. Battery Creek at North Charleston. Palmetto hosts Southside. West Oak goes to Pendleton. One of our games of the week, Beaufort at Philip Simmons. We're going to find out a lot about Philip Simmons this Friday. That should be a really, really good game. Hopefully, Jarrell can be at that ball game and give us a lowdown on how that goes. Dreher will be at Swansea. Waccamaw hosting Georgetown. Woodruff will host Chester. And Fountain will go to Wren.
All right, Jarrell, any 3A comments?
Yeah, Nathan's got a really surprising comment. I don't know why he would say this.
Please, BHP wins Powder Restaurant. Oh, because he wants Daniel to avenge the loss from last year.
No.
That makes sense. Yeah, Justin, how about Daniel Lyons? Yeah, Daniel's really good, man. They are one of the better teams in 3A, no doubt about it. They've got some studs there, as always.
Yeah,
Let's
Daniel,
keep rolling, guys.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Sorry, guys. Keep rolling.
Don't forget, guys, get your merch dropping tomorrow. Social media, get your hats, get your hoodies. Check out, help out the boys. Let's look down at 2A now, John.
In 2A, Blacksburg will be hosting 96. Central Page will go to Beaufort. Sherrall will host Andrew Jackson. Chesney hosting Landrum. North Central will be at Chesterfield. Eau Claire hosting Newberry. Barnwell is at Edisto. Mid-Carolina at Fairfield Central. Gray hosting Columbia.
I believe that one's been forfeited. I'm not sure who Gray has on the docket this week, but it is not Columbia.
Not the Capitals.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Two of those. Well, I don't know. They're all in the Midlands. I just know Eau Claire decided not to play Gray in Columbia as well. Hey, hopefully they get a game. Whatever you think.
I think they've got one scheduled. I can't remember who it is. Yeah.
Oceanside will be at Lake Marion. Abbeville will go to Liberty. Andrews goes to Marion.
That's a big matchup there. Could be the region title, I think, in that region there. Marion, a tough loss last week. Surprising the score. You know, obviously, Marbury's is a good team. I thought it would be at least to be competitive. Quashie Scott and Gabe Cusack and the guys couldn't really get it rolling there. Andrews, tough loss to Waccamaw. That really surprised me. They were playing good football, I felt like, and that was a weird one. I think Marion gets a bounce back win, especially at Fox Field, like the Swamp Foxes.
Yeah, I picked Marion last week. I thought
I did too.
Lee Central will go to Mullins. Saluda is at Pelion. Hampton County goes to Ridgeland Hardyville. Silver Bluff hosting Fox Creek, and Bishop England will go to Timberland.
Yeah, there's a couple at the beginning, John, I wanted to mention. Scroll back up for a second. 96 Blacksburg. That's an interesting ball game there. Coach Bennett's squad is running the ball like crazy. The Wildcats are, the 96 Wildcats, that is. Blacksburg, their Wildcats, have been kind of up and down. You know, they had a big showing a few weeks back and then got shut up by Louisville the next week. I think 96 is the better team there, but that'll be a fun matchup. And the Andrew Jackson Sherrall as well. Big region game between those two. Could be the region title, the first matchup there. You know, Sherrall, a lot of young players getting better as the season goes along, you hope. Andrew Jackson's been kind of a disappointment, I feel like, really. You know, losing to Louisville badly last week. They've lost to Fairfield Central, also a lower level team. Same level team.
Both two.
Yeah. But they just have not played as good as last year, for sure. That'll be an interesting one there. And then the Strom and Batesburg-Leesville game there. Batesburg-Leesville, I think, is getting better. Strom, tough loss last week. They've got a lot of talent there, of course. I think they win that ball game, but that could be a sneaky fun ball game as well.
Yeah, Strom Thurmond, they've got, and I think it's a lot from friends of the show here watching. There's a lot of hype around Strom, and it's deservingly so. I got to see them play last year against Saluda. They've got a very, very good ball team. They're an exciting group. Batesburg-Leesville, you know, they're striving to get back to that high level too. You talk about 96. Love to see 96 playing at a high level again. Yeah, that's
historic program.
Yeah, it's a great program. You like to see them be able to get back to their winning ways consistently.
Yeah, Jarrell, any comments on the 2A slate? Of course, it's 96 probably roller Blacksburg. I think so too. But Blacksburg has shown some offensive fireworks at times, but I do like 96 in that ball game. Strong by 21. Dion certainly could. So I think Batesburg's getting better. About that good yet. Saluda and Bluff both by 30. I think you're right about that. That feels right there. Zach giving Coach Bennett a shout out. Yeah, they're playing great for him, man. He's kind of galvanized that program. They're playing some good football right now for sure.
And if you don't mind going back to 3A, Shot's got a question for you guys.
Going to Marlboro, I tell you what, Marlboro County, I was high on them earlier in the year, had a couple nice wins. You know, I like the Purvis kid a lot. I like the defensive line a lot there for Coach McCollum and the boys. But last week's game really kind of put a sour taste in my mouth. Like I thought Dillon was going to win, but was it 40-0, guys?
Yeah,
that was
not even competitive.
A little
46,
bit more
40-0
in a rivalry matchup too. That was surprising. Darlington has played much better football this year. They've got some wins, which has been, I mean, that's a new thing for Darlington. They don't hardly ever win games like the last couple of years, but they're sitting there at 2-3, have been competitive in a lot of these ball games. I think they've got a real chance to win this one in region play, John. I actually, you know what? I'll take it. I'm going to take Coach Johnson and the Falcons to win this ball game.
I'm going to say Marlboro County bounces back. Darlington is much improved from what they were last year, but I think I'm going to spare Marlboro in getting the butt whooped last week against Dillon because I think Dillon is really
Dillon is
good.
very good, yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it. But I think this is going to be a pretty close game. I think this will be a pretty competitive game. I think a rather low-scoring game, too, if I had to pick.
Perfect. Anything else, Terrell, from the 2A or 3A stuff? Yeah, Zach, we got Clinton beating Union County. If not, you got some real big problems. Union County's not very good. I know Clinton's banged up. Still think they're the better football team. They should roll this week.
Yeah, this game, I don't expect this to be a game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And just go ahead and skip 1A. The people want to hear about the Louisville Lions. The chat's going to explode if we don't get there.
All right, let's go to 1A. Let's go to Louisville. Put that game first, John. Who we got?
Louisville goes to Columbia. They will play C.A. Johnson, the Green Hornets. I don't think this game's going to be close either.
I'll tell you what, C.A. Johnson, though, is a good football team. Caleb Pearson, one of our players of the week, I believe it was last week, the quarterback there, ran for 390 or so. He is a really good player for them, probably the best player in C.A. Johnson history from what I've heard from some folks around the Green Hornets there. Good athlete there for Coach Dean's squad. But Louisville, man, they've got 5 shutouts in a row. They're playing so good on both sides of the ball. You know, it's almost like if Louisville gives up 14 points, you think it's a bad outing, but it's not, of course. But I think that offense with Grissom and Robinson and, Brown and Howes and just names all over the field, we know for a 1A program, the lines are really good, man. I think Louisville wins this ball game again. C.A. Johnson's their best chance is to have Pearson, get 3 yards of carry, 4 yards of carry, and just really slow the ball game down and try to grind it out. But I still think Louisville is a much better team. I think the Lions win big. I don't know if they get a shutout again. We'll see. It may be, 42-7. We'll see, John.
I don't think they give up 10.
I think the Lions roll big again this week. 90. That might be too many there, Justin. We'll see how that goes. Dion says they'll get 14. They could. I think the Lions roll in this one. But C.A. Johnson is much improved. Coach Scotty Jean is doing a great job there for sure.
Yeah, Pearson, and I haven't seen Pearson play. He's got over 1,100 yards already on the season.
Yeah,
14 touchdowns. But Louisville just faced a very good running back in Thompson at Andrew Jackson last week, and that guy, he is very, very good, very, very tough to bring down. And if they can shut out a Thompson-led AJ team, I don't see them having a ton more trouble with C.A. Johnson this Friday. I could be wrong. I haven't seen Pearson play. I haven't seen C.A. Johnson play. So I could be out of my element saying that. But I do not. I expect Louisville to win this one.
Yeah, and I want to talk about this here for a second, John. Drill, you can hop in too if you want to. At what point, I don't know what the historical records are in South Carolina for defenses, things like that. But you give up, 20 in the first game, 14, something like that. You've shut everybody out since then. What's the record for shutouts in a row? Because at some point, does Coach Bullard be like, you know what? Maybe we don't pull the starters. Like, we don't want to take a chance of somebody scoring a cheap and late on us. It's just nuts what they're doing right now on that side of the ball. I just really have given up, 24 points, 20 points, something like that so far on the year.
Yeah, I think Oceanside scored 24 the first game.
24, okay, yeah. Yeah, does that creep into your head? You're like, you know what? Maybe we're up by 30 in the fourth quarter. Maybe we want to keep the shutout going. You don't get anybody hurt, of course, but we're talking like historical stuff here, guys.
I don't know. I think
probably not.
Coach Bullard, he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. So I don't think he's going to go for that record. He wants that state championship.
Yeah.
We saw him in the offseason. He wants that state championship.
Man, and they are trending in the right direction for they're playing good football. I think they roll again this week, John. But let's talk about the rest of the 1A slate here.
I tell you what, and that record could just happen on its own. Whatever that record may be, it could just happen. Starting Bamberg Earhart, they will go to Ben Lippen That's an interesting matchup there.
Yeah, Ben Lippin was playing good football a couple weeks ago, kind of started trending down a little bit. I think the Red Raiders win this one easily, had a big win at homecoming last week. Ben Lippin's got some athletes, but I think Bamberg's a little bit better.
I think so too. Whale Branch will go to Bethune-Bowman. Whale Branch team I'm very high on. Hunter Kenner Tyler, another team I think we're all high on.
Yeah.
They will go to Blackville-Hilda.
This
you talk about the Latta game, Latta Lamar.
Yeah.
That's the game in 1A. But I think this is number 2, and it's right there. This is going to be a great ball game.
I want to talk about two surprising programs. I mean, HKT is just lighting it up. They're giving up 7 points per game on the year, scoring 48. They beat a very good Calhoun County team last year. And then Blackville-Hilda, their one loss is to Bamberg by a point. It's 7-6. They're playing good ball as well. I like what both these coaches are doing. Coach Jones there, Blackville-Hilda's got them going the right direction. I'm going to go the Fighting Hawks at home in this one, but that's a heck of a 1A squad or ball game there.
I'm going to go Hunter Kenner Tyler. I think they have really got it going. Would not be surprised if Blackville-Hilda wins. I think they are a really good ball team too. It could be, home field advantage could make the difference in this one. I think this would be a great game. I'm really interested in seeing how this one plays out.
Me and Dion on the same train of thought there.
By 3. Did someone, and Dion, it may have been you, I saw the end of it. I think it was Thompson's game against
44 yards, Adrian said,
44
last week
yards
against Louisville. Yeah, that's impressive.
That's pretty good. Moving on, we got Allendale Fairfax going to Branchville.
Another interesting ball game there. Two teams that have been pretty good so far this year. I think they both may just have one loss. I have to look and see, but two programs trending in the right direction for sure in 1A.
Yeah, Allendale Fairfax has been playing.
Excuse me, Allendale Fairfax got 3 losses. I missed that, but they beat Bamberg. So that counts.
That's what I'm.
That counts for something. That counts for something.
Okay,
yeah. Branchville's 3 in 1 day.
Okay. We'll have Johnsonville go to Carver's Bay. Southside Christian goes to Dixie. East Clarendon at Hemingway. Green Sea Floyds will be at Lakeview.
Lakeview playing very good football right now. Had the loss early to Marion, who's a good squad. Beat a 3A Loris team last week. A couple late touchdowns in the second half to win that one. Wild Gators are playing good football. I think they win again.
I think so too. We talked about this, our 1A game of the week, one of our games of the week overall. Latta going to Lamar. Really, really big ball game now with as good as the Vikings have been to start the year. We'll have Ware Shoals going to McCormick. Burke will be at Military Magnet. Denmark Olar going to Ridge Spring Minetta. Denmark Olar team, they got out to a hot start.
Yeah.
They have faded a little bit. See if they can get back on track. Cross will be at St. John's. Calhoun Falls goes to St. Joseph's. Williston Elko at Wagner Sally. And Great Falls will go to Whitmire to close out our Friday night slate.
Drill, any more 1A comments before we take a quick look at the SCISA ball games going on the docket here? Julie says Lions love doing it. They do, man. They've been getting a lot of them. They got one more to get a half a dozen here. See what happens this week.
No, I think we're good. Let's go ahead and move on, guys.
Perfect. On the SCISA side, we got Florence Christian traveling to Hilton Head Prep. First Baptist going to Hilton Head Christian. Orangeburg Prep going to Bethesda. Greenwood Christian going to Colleton Prep. Calhoun Academy going to Clarendon Hall. Tough loss last week for the same thing. They bounced back in this one, though. Faith Christian at Lawrence Academy. A good 2A matchup. Lee Academy at Williamsburg Academy. I think the Stallions are the best team in that class. I think they win this game pretty handily. Got some good players there with Ward and Moore and those guys. Beaufort Academy at Palmetto Christian. Holly Hill at Andrew Jackson. PD Academy at Pinewood Prep. Fun 3A game there. The Golden Eagles big win for homecoming last week. Devontae Holloman's squad at Pinewood has seemed to turn the corner a little bit. They're getting better and better. Should be a fun one down there in Somerville. Northwood at Wilson Hall. John Paul at Cardinal Newman. Trinity at Portergaud. Holy Trinity at Jefferson Davis. Kings Academy at Patrick Henry. Newberry at King Academy. Dillon Christian at Thomas Hayward. Oakbrook Prep at Wardlaw. Heathwood Hall at Lawrence Manning. And Carolina Academy at Spartanburg Christian. Any comments in general, Jarrell, that we missed? We need to get to before we move to the next part of the program.
Got a special guest. We got a
picks on Latta Lamar. Yeah, so if you guys missed that game, tune back into the very beginning of the game, or beginning of the show. We'll put the timestamps on there. One of our CONA games of the week was that 1A matchup. I think, John, you were leaning Latta. I was leaning Lamar at home. Should be a really fun ball game. I'm excited for that one.
Justin just had a general
where's
question.
Dean Boyd coach? Yeah, he is the head coach at York High School now. Justin, he is the head coach there for the York Cougars.
That's it, guys. That's all we got for right now.
Perfect. Let's give a shout out to our friends of the program before we look at the next.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to kona.care to learn more.
Okay, it's time for the unveiling of our Week 6 polls. Jarrell and John, you know, we talk about it every week. Like, we want to do our own poll because we got frustrated with the other ones that came out. I think we like to do a pretty good job. We do top 5 here. Jarrell, you want to start with 5, 4, and 3, or 1 and 2?
Let's start with 1 and 2 real quick.
Perfect. 1A, we've got the Louisville Lions, all 3 first place votes. Second place, a newcomer to the top 5, Southside Christian. It's number 3, Christchurch. Number 4, HKT. And number 5, Bamberg Earhart, also receiving votes, Latta and Well Branch. 1A, I feel like this year, guys, is a really deep class. I mean, you got guys like we mentioned, Blackfield Hilda, who's not on there. You know, Calhoun's the team we had top 5 until last week. They're a very good squad as well. Lots of 1A programs.
Lamar's not on there.
Lamar's not on there. Lakeview's not on there. I mean, we could have gone 10 deep probably in 1A if we had to.
Yeah, you know, and Louisville is here.
Yeah.
But boy, after that, it is. And typically, you know, the problem that I ran into going through the poll is because you look at that region here in Greenville with Southside Christian, St. Joe's, and Christchurch, and you go, okay, well, you know, they're going to be in the top 5 just about every time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking through all the teams. And I go, no, they're not in my top 5. I think I put Southside in there.
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 teams, you know, St. Joe's and Calhoun County both completely fell out after last week.
Yeah,
I mean, it's such a moving target there, but 1A is a lot of fun. In the 2A ranks, Gray Collegiate stays at number 1, all 3 first place votes. Number 2, still Oceanside, even after the loss last week. 3, Abbeville. 4, Silver Bluff. And 5, Marion. Also receiving votes, Hampton County and Saluda. The Swamp Foxes slipped a couple spots there. Abbeville and Silver Bluff move up. Hampton County moves out. But 2A, another deep class there. I think the top 3 maybe a little bit higher than the rest. I like Gray and Oceanside a lot. I like Abbeville a lot as well. But it's going to be tough at some point, it's going to be tough to kind of get a feel for Gray. You know, obviously, you got to hope they keep playing games. That's the key. Like, I don't care if they play teams that are a whole lot better, a whole lot worse. We just need them to be on the field just so they can stay loose heading into the playoffs. But I think Gray is the best team in 2A right now. Yeah,
and tell you what's interesting, you know, when we heard, I think it was Coach Knotts talking about this last year with traveling so much. Mm-hmm. And if it gets to a point where Gray is going across state lines, you know, they went to DC or maybe it's Maryland, up there in that area. If they're traveling a lot each and every week, once playoffs come, then you got to think about the factor of, okay, how much gas these boys still have in the tank from all that travel? Because I know, you know, Coach Knotts talked about it, and you're playing typically high quality talent too. How banged up are you come playoff time? It could really make things interesting once we get in November and talk about deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, I saw Greg's comment. Abbeville, I mean, they're a good team. What worries me, Greg, a little bit is that they've been kind of inconsistent. They play a bad first half, good second half. But I like to see a complete game out of those guys. Dion said Upper State too would be a lot of fun. Yeah, it certainly will be. Derek said Lakeview used to be underdogs. Yeah, I mean, the Gators are playing great, man. You know, they'll get their chance against Latta and Lamar to prove themselves here shortly enough. So that'll be a lot of fun. Then back to 3A, Jarrell. We've got split first place votes here. BHP with 2, Daniel with 1. 3rd is Dylan. 4 is Crestwood. 5 is Broome this week. Also receiving votes, Beaufort, Gilbert, and Philip Simmons. Another deep clash. You know, you don't see a team like Clinton on there. Some other guys you could throw in the mix, certainly down there in 3A ranks. But I know we'll find out a lot about BHP this week. You know, I mean, even if they win the ball game, how convincingly, how close is it, we'll see. We'll learn about those boys a lot this week for sure.
Yeah. And 3A, I mean, the receiving votes is, I love to see that because that shows you, again, I don't think either one of us are picking a team like, hey, those guys don't belong there. Mm-hmm. It's just there's that many really good teams. And you talk about Clinton, they're not even on there. They're really, really good. You know, when they get healthy again, they're going to be a different squad as well.
Same thing. You think Camden eventually is going to be there at the end too. See how that goes. But Jason's Big Crestwood, yeah, they're playing great, man. Drill, any comments on 1, 2, and 3A from you that you want to throw in there or from the chat?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. I single-handedly got Broome, in the poll, so I'm high on those guys. I like it.
Love Broome. I like Broome.
Broome's a good team, man.
I thought about
it. Yeah, it was me. I got him to sneak in there, so that was a lot of fun.
And I think it's the region play progresses, and there's so many schools I look down. It's like, well, they're probably a top 5 team, but they haven't proved it yet. I'm going to make them prove it before I put them in my top 5. Broome's one of them.
I tell you, one of the toughest teams for me right now to figure out in 3A to rank, not to rank, is Chapman.
Yeah,
I mean, they have 2 of the best wins in the state over Clinton, over Byrnes, and they're not even getting votes in our poll. So I'm going to have to look at that again next week, see how that goes. But there's a lot of good programs in 3A as well. Let's take a look. All right, go ahead, Drill. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, man. We're not even Chapman's not getting votes. Like, that's how deep 3A is right now. It's easily the most. What's that?
Who can we blame for that?
Probably
all of us. We haven't voted for. None of us have voted for Chapman in our poll, which is crazy. Like it's so crazy to think about. But I mean, that's how deep 3A is, man. I shuffled. I don't even know how many teams this week, but it's a lot of fun. But let's look at the big boys now.
And maybe it's imperative for everyone watching and listening there, but just so everybody knows, the getting the votes part is one of us had him in the top 5. Some of us didn't.
Yeah.
We don't, rank 5 teams and then go, hey, also I think this
honorable mention. We're not doing it that way.
Close.
Yeah.
Well, if you see them on there, one of us put them in our top 5.
For sure. Let's look now at 4A. We got Northwestern, still all 3 first place votes. South Florence in 2nd. James Island 3rd. Irmo 4th. South Point 5th. Also 3 votes. Hartsville could see a shakeup this week, depending on how that South Florence-Hartsville game goes there. I know we got some complaints last week about Northwestern being number 1, even though they've got a loss compared to South Florence does it. Northwestern's loss was to Providence Day. I don't feel bad about giving them a first-place vote, man. The Trojans are really, really good. They've got another one of the best wins in the state of Gaffney. Good squad there in 4A, but another one that we could have had, a team like Midland Valley could be in there. Myrtle Beach is trying to make a case. Lucy Beckham's trying to make a case. Some good squads. Westside, Greenville, one of them. If one of them gets a win, they may pop into that next week as well. We'll see how 4A goes next week. But let's take a look now at 5A. Somerville, all 3 first-place votes. A tie for 2nd, Hillcrest and Byrnes. 4th, Spartanburg. 5th, Gatch. We got 3 out of Region 2 5A in there. Also 3 votes, White Knoll. Interesting to see how that Byrnes-Spartanburg matchup turns out this week. But 5A is a tough one for me, guys. I feel like usually it's like, all right, we'll put Dutch Fork up here. And let's kind of go from there. 5A, I don't feel like there's a dominant team outside of maybe Somerville this year.
Yeah, Somerville's had the best resume. You look at the rest of that top 5, they all have probably played, what was it? Hillcrest, Spartanburg, Byrnes, and then Gaffney. All 4 of those, and I know people go, oh, you got a bunch of upstate teams. You guys live in the upstate. Well, look at who they played and look at who they beat. They've got the resume to prove it. And they'll sort each other out when they play each other. But, there's no one else that has wins in 5A like those guys do. Yeah. You look at Sumter's pretty good, but they got beat by Crestwood.
Another tough loss to Somerville, not competitive in that ballgame either.
You look at Fort Dorchester. Hey, Fort Dorchester's probably pretty good, but Gaffney beat them. Mm-hmm. So you can't put Fort D above Gaffney, in my opinion. There's some good teams out there, but I think that is the top 5. That is, you talk about White Knoll. Hey, they're undefeated, and again, White Knoll is one of those teams. I looked at them a little bit, and I was like, well, they've got a chance to prove themselves. Yeah. For me, they're not there yet. They got a chance to. But the 2 through 5, they have just played some really, really good talent. And it's going to work out. We get to region play. We get to region play and the cream will rise, as they say. But yeah, it's 5A is pretty cool, especially here in the upstate right now.
Yeah. Any more comments from the chat, Drill, or from you on the 4 and 5A polls here?
Oh, yeah. I agree with you guys, man. 5A is probably the most difficult just because, you start looking at common opponents, like you were talking about 4D and then Spartanburg, like you try to look at, they both played Grayson. Spartanburg plays a close game and then 4D gets smoked, so that just makes it hard. I don't really know. 4A is the same. It's going to sort itself out. Those regions are very, very difficult in 4A. Yeah. And if anybody's talking about us being in the upstate, like the Spartanburg schools, I mean, it is what it is. That's the resume. I would love to, if I had to vote, if I thought 4 low country teams were better than everybody else, then I'd have them in my poll, but that's just not the case right now.
Yeah. And for me, Boiling Springs would be in my top 10. Yeah, I think they're a really good team, and hey, they're in that region.
Might not be in my top 10. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, let's look now at the Pick'em drill brought to you by Hannah Engineering.
Yeah, Mill and Violet might work their way in there too, Dion.
Perfect. We had a perfect score last week from Big Carl, an 11 spot there in a tough week too for games. We had Tank and Jamie, Nick and P all at 10. A lot of folks at 9 there. All 3 of us with 7. So we lost points to the crowd here last week. John and Drell didn't do a great job there. But if you guys have not been part of our Pick'em, it's a lot of fun. We posted on social media, so on our website as well. Pick'em brought to you by Hannah Engineering. We do 11 games a week. Overall contest right now being led by Chase H at 50. We got Dale and JD at 49. Brandon at 46. And a group of guys at 45 and 44. John Drill at 44. I'm at 43. A lot of games left. And I tell you what, guys, starting next week, we should be able to start dropping that lowest week, which we have not done yet. So that's why we do it. Your lowest week on the season gets dropped out in case somebody has just an awful one or forgets or whatever. So that should start next week. But if you guys haven't been part of our Pick'em contest, certainly join and do that. It is a lot of fun each and every week. Want to give a quick shout out to our players of the week brought to you by the Georgia Agency. We had Colton Link at Landrum, big game. Malachi Washington at Myrtle Beach. And then Ian Grissom out of Louisville, a 2-time player of the week now from last year and this year. Hats off to Ian there with the Lions, playing great football, of course. But a lot of fun to pick those each and every week. A lot of great performances all across the state. This has been a fun week, guys. I'm super excited for this slate. You got a few less games because of the buys, but we have some really hard hitters here this week.
Yeah, and I'm excited about getting into region play too. That's the new season within the season, getting into that region slate, and that's gonna be a lot of fun, especially with some of the games that some of these regions have kicking off.
For sure. Well, if you guys have not seen us before, we appreciate you tuning in tonight. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. Like our page, share it, comment, tell your friends. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Our website, movinchains.com. We do a live preview show every Tuesday night about 7 o'clock here on Facebook and YouTube. Love to have you guys pop in, comment, ask your team. It's a lot of fun to do that. We do a recap show, comes out on Sundays on the podcast platforms. We do basically a Twitter Spaces / live scoreboard show Friday night. It's about 10:30, 11. It's a lot of fun to do. You can hop in, talk about your team, ask our team. It's a lot of great interaction there from across the state. And like you saw the pop up there, the Movin The Chains merch coming to you guys tomorrow. Should be live on social media. Get your hoodies here, get your hats, get your toboggans. All your questions, direct your questions to ntcgear.sc@gmail.com. We got a lot of hat styles. We got lots of toboggans, a couple different hoodie styles. Support the boys, man. This helps us to make this show better and better. It helps us get better equipment, get better guests, all kinds of stuff. Definitely, hopefully you guys can support us with that type of stuff. We got some good stuff coming down the pipe. Obviously, our preview shows will get better and better as we get into bigger games throughout the season. We got some good interviews coming up with some players and coaches. A lot of stuff you guys to tune in for, and a lot of fun as we get into region play. Like you say, guys, non-region SC doesn't matter. Everybody's 0-0. Here we go again, man. It's not how you drive, it's how you arrive, right? Or something
That's
like
right.
that.
That's right.
Any comments, Drell, John, on this week before we wrap it up?
I'm excited about it. I know we're going to be split up across the state this week at a couple different games.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun for all of us to get together on Friday night and go, hey, here's what I saw. Here's what you saw. So it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I think we're going to have Jarrell down in the Charleston area. I'm going to be down kind of the Santee area. I think John's going to be in the PD area. So a lot of good stuff. I tell you what, John, put this hat on for a second. Just a second, and I'll throw this on.
How
here.
big is this thing going to be?
It doesn't matter. Just put it on. All right. Hey, so now we got some game worn merch for sale right here. We got a toboggan and a hat for you guys. Game worn. I mean, that may decrease the value. I don't know. But you want to check out the stuff. Get you some of this stuff, man. Check us out on social media. Email us, and we'll get you guys hooked up. Love to have y'all support the crew. But Anything else from you, Drill, before we wrap it up?
No, man, we're good. I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight.
For sure, for sure. Well, for Jarrell Hendricks and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. Moving the Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. This has been our Week 6 South Carolina High School Football Preview Show, and we will catch you guys soon.